reloading logbook template tutorial right now on Pirate Firearms and Reloading. Hi everybody, so I got asked the other day about providing a template in the way I do my reloading logbook, and I thought, what a great idea. It's not that hard. I've just got to copy and paste it over and share a document. So this is going to be an Excel spreadsheet. Now there'll be a link down below to download this template, and you're welcome to edit it, change it, do whatever you like to it. So here we go. What I've done is I've created this Excel spreadsheet, so it should be openable in things like Google Docs and that if you don't have Microsoft Excel. I believe there's even a free version that Windows provide with their computers now as well, so should work for most of you anyway. Let me know if you have any trouble converting it. I might be able to come up with a way to convert it to another format for you. But this is how it basically goes. So I've down the bottom here where my cursor is, in the bottom left hand corner, I've created a template. So this template is actually locked, so I can't fill out anything on this template here without it spitting up this error. And I've done that just so you never lose the actual template side of things. Now, what I do, if you go back to my old video on reloading logbooks, I create a different sheet for each caliber. So I'll show you quickly how we change this first sheet's name. So all you do here is double click on it, and we're going to make this one 308 win. Okay, and say we're going to load another one, we'll go 223 rem. Right, like that. So you can have a different page for each different caliber, so there's no confusion when you're looking in a book. That's one thing I hated about handwriting notes. If you left like 3 or 4 pages for one particular caliber, once you'd filled those 3 or 4 pages, that you then had to jump further down the book because you'd already put another caliber in behind it. So this gives you basically a never-ending list. The other thing I've done for you is I've actually copied over this template already onto these first 3 pages down here. And all you have to do, say you wanted to create another page, if you basically click here, you can click this little arrow here in the corner to highlight the whole thing, or you can do Control A on your keyboard on a Windows computer, and then obviously you can go copy over here, and we'll make another one here. So later on when you've filled up those calibers, you can press the plus down here for a new sheet, and it's created a new sheet. We can click and drag that to the end, double click on it. We're going to call this one 3030 win. Right, and so you open this sheet, click in your first cell A1, and then you should be, oh hang on, my apologies, you need to go back and copy it, move over to 3030 win, press the paste button, and what you want to do is select this one here, keep source column width. The keyboard shortcut is obviously W in the brackets there, and this means that it will lay all the column widths out nice and evenly. The other thing you will need to do as well, you'll notice if I come over here to 308 Winchester, when you start scrolling, this top line disappears. If you click on line 4 here and you go over to view, you can go freeze panels and you can select freeze panels. So what happens now when I scroll, as I start entering things here in the spreadsheet, as I scroll down, those top 3 rows stay in place. Okay, so remember, that's, you've got to click the row below. You can't actually click these rows or highlight these rows. Doesn't work. Don't ask me why. That's how Excel spreadsheets work. So that's how you create another one for a new caliber. Now just remember, like I said, this is locked here in template, so you're not accidentally going to mess up the template. You can always come back to this later on. So we're going to go over here to 308 Winchester. What I've done here in the red bar here is your final load, so you can work through your load development, and then when you've got your final load, you can then drop it in here. So I'm just going to do a load based on M118LR, which is the precision rifle 308 for the military. So that's approximately 23 grains of reloader 15. We'll say it's a Fed primer. We'll call it Fed match. Right, and it's a Sierra Match King projectile at 175 grains. Okay, so there's some information in here. So the idea is, as you get further down the logbook, you can see here we're up to row 20, but your final load still stays on the screen. Right, so we're going to do our first logbook entry, for example. So pick a date that we load it. Let's just pick a random date like that. Okay, we're going to load up, I don't know, 50 rounds. Now, for example, color. I use this to keep a track of batches, and I also use it to keep track when I'm doing a load development. And I just take a Sharpie and I drop it in the ring between the primer and the primer pocket, and I just basically do a circle around it. That allows me quickly to identify what load is in that case. I can jump back here to the reloading book and go from there. Now also, if I've got maybe two different batches in circulation, say I was getting down on my 308s, I only had 10 left, but I fired another batch, I'd mark them in a different color, and then I know that I say I've got to use the blue ones first, and then I'll move on to the green ones. Just little tricks like that to keep your batches consistent. Now, say you weren't interested in that, for example, what you can do is you can come up here to column C with your mouse, you can right click here, and you can press hide. Now this column disappears. It's actually still there in the background. Say we want column C back, we've changed our mind, that's not the one we wanted to hide. If you click and drag over the two, B and D, either side of column C, right click and press unhide, and there you go, it's back. So we're going to do a blue load. Right, we're going to try a different load. We're going to try 22 grains. We're going to try a different powder. Let's just pick a random one. We're going to do reloader 17 this time, just for whatever's sake. 2.8. Right, it's going to be, let's pick a Hornady case. Now please don't use this loading, it's just something random I'm pulling out of my head. Okay, we've fired that case 4 times. We're still using those Fed match primers, but this time we're going to load a Hornady. Let's load a SST in 180 grain, right? And I want 20,000 jump, so 0.020, 20,000 jump. Now this is something you may notice too. Excel by default will automatically shorten up decimal places. So what you can do is come over here to the home tab again, and you can press this button up here, which is increase decimal. So now it actually looks like 20,000. Now this time I am going to crimp it, so we'll go yes. Now if you crimp all your loads, maybe you want to hide that column, so right click, hide, gone. Right, method. Okay, so typically what I put in here is the method in which I've dispensed the powder. So if I've used my charge master, I can put, CBS space CM for charge master, right? And say the next load, I'm going to do that on a progressive, so that's going to be my Lee auto disc. So Lee auto, right? So that way I keep track, and if I find there's a consistent inconsistency, I can come back here and look at these things. The other thing is, some of these columns out here further you may never use. It's completely up to you, and it depends on how in depth you get into the reloading process. So I always chuck group size in there. Never hurts to keep track of your group sizes, make sure they're not opening up or shrinking. I mean, if they're shrinking, you're not going to complain, but if your group sizes start opening up, you could be looking at things like your barrels due for a clean. Maybe you've messed something up within the reloading process. And then I leave, obviously, muzzle velocities, standard deviation, extreme spread, and when I chronograph things, I always take the temperature, humidity, pressure, altitude, and this gives me data if I ever want to enter that information into a ballistic calculator. I know it shot that muzzle velocity at that temperature. Always put the date, and then last category way over here is notes. So if I need to add a note about that charge, I can do. So say for example we'd loaded up those 50 cases there. What we can do is click on the number 5 there and highlight that entire row. If we come up here to fill, what we can do is fill it black, and so now that's one loading session. Right, so next time I come to my reloading book and I'm going to do another reloading session, say it's 5 days later because I've been trigger happy and gotten rid of all that ammunition, we'll put that in there. Right, and okay, 50 went, so I'm going to do 50. Say there's maybe 2 left over, I'm going to pick a different color so I can pick out the 2 batches. That didn't shoot so well, so I'm going to go back to my 23 grains and reload a 15 instead. And pretty quickly this all starts to make sense to you. Now the other thing too, depending on your eyes or your screen size down here, just remember you can zoom in, zoom out. The other thing I do like to do as well, we'll just go Control A here, and we'll make the text bold. We can also increase the text size here too, so these are all 16, so if we go Control A is the shortcut for all. Or you can click that little arrow there, so we'll tell it everything's going to be in 16 and bold like that, and now it just becomes a little bit easier to see. You may have to then drag your lines out if you've filled these boxes up. So obviously fired's the number of times you've fired the brass. If you're somebody who anneals, then you could maybe add another column in here, and then you could add, you know, when it was last annealed, for example. So it really gives you a good basis to go on. So I hope that's been enough for you to understand how to use this template. Like I said, I will put the link in the description below, so I'll just chuck it up on a OneDrive. I'll leave that up there as a shared link so you can just click on it, download it, and then edit it yourself. If you have any questions, hit me up in the comments down below. I'm quite happy to help with this. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I release new videos every Friday, so hit that notifications bell so you don't miss out on anything. See you in the next one.